Welcome to today's video. We are going to be cutting a piece of 4 by 4 1/4 inch wall square tubing with this saw and with one of these blades. This is the Evolution saw, and I bought this a few months ago and I've used it several times. I was very skeptical about these saws when I first bought them, um, or when I first started using them. But man, this thing has really changed the way I cut things in my shop. Anytime I have to do something long, I had a job recently. This is what really changed my mind. I had a job recently where I had to rip all of this 1 inch square tubing lengthwise on just one side. I'm like, man, how am I going to do that? And I tried the saw, and it just blew it away. One blade did like hundreds of feet of it. Um, Now I started out using a regular skill saw, like a cheap $20 skill saw from Home Depot or whatever, and it worked fine. It blew chips really badly. This one actually catches the chips, and I burned out the motor relatively quickly. This has a much stronger motor on it, but I was so impressed with the way that the blade cut that I was willing to invest in one of these saws. And this does have a deal in it that catches the chips right here. So it catches not all of them, but it does a better job than before. And I will tell you that it's messy, okay? Don't do this in an area you need to keep really clean. It's much better than blowing sparks. There are no sparks here for the most part, but yeah, it does blow chips everywhere. So I try to usually do it in like kind of a contained area where they're all going to go and I can sweep them up really easy or something. Um, yeah, that being said, let's get to it. I'm going to get the piece of steel up on the sawhorses and we'll get it cut. Okay, here's the piece of steel. We got 4 by 4 quarter wall. I can't cut this too deep though because it'll probably like pinch and bind the blade and I don't want that. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to cut it, spin it, cut it, spin it 4 times, right? I don't want it cutting that far down in there, so I'm going to raise it up. Yeah, I think that's good. All right, so we're going to get this thing laid out here. I need to cut this at 10 feet. If you've never used one of these squares, game changer. All right, on square tubing. Um, they're very nice, way better than a tri-square. Um, it sits so flat on there and kind of wraps around that edge. Of course, that's gotten in the way like that. Go underneath. All right, so one of the things about this saw is it's really hard to see the blade here. I have no idea if that's going to be like on the line or whatever. So I'm going to set up this fence. Uh, it's just going to make a nice straight cut because this is going to get welded to a base. And I want it to, one of the nice things about this saw is I won't have to clean this up. I've cut these with cutoff wheels, band saws, plasma cutters, torches, all kinds of things throughout the years. And, you know, like the plasma and the torch, you have to grind it all smooth. Cutoff wheel takes forever, blows sparks. Those all have cons. This right here, this should be like ready to weld, done, no cleanup afterwards. So this is 2.5 inches. There. Got that bad boy down. Measure twice, cut once. And by the way, this, I forgot to mention, but I'm going to put a link to this saw and that blade in the description because I think everybody should have one. And like I said, you can get the blade and put it in a regular skill saw just to try it. And I think if you do that, you'll be very impressed. All right, here goes nothing. All right, man. That is a nice cut. It's right on the kerf. All right, got it cut. I mean, it is like a machined finish. This thing is ready. You know, I'll clean up this outside surface before I weld it, but this inside surface here is man, it's smooth. Like there's not much of a burr on there. Probably enough to cut you if you're not careful about it, but I mean, it's ready to go and it's perfectly square. You know, that didn't take very long at all. Way faster than cutting it with a torch or something. And you know, I don't have a bandsaw, but at least not one this big that would cut this. So I would normally be doing this, like I said, with a cutoff wheel or a torch or a plasma, and then have to go back and grind it or something like that. And just to show you real quick, the this one's not too bad, but on the floor here, you can see all these chips, right? And those are the ones that get stuck in your shoe. It's not too bad. They're just kind of right around here. Um, but yeah, with the other saw, man, it was brutal. Let me show you real quick. So it's caught like a lot of them, which that right there is a pretty big feature to me. Because I try to keep my shop clean, and so blowing them chips, I mean, they get everywhere. You'll find them like months later. So yeah, let's continue on. All right, so it dawned on me that I can just use this square, use a square as a fence. This one's bigger, it's a little bit thicker. So I'm going to measure this thing out. It'll be perfectly square. And then it won't move, and I can just clamp it down. Okay. All right, so that's that. This is the first time I've cut tubing like this with it. Where it has really done awesome work in the past for me is cutting really long, like pieces of sheet metal. I think I've cut up to 1/4 inch with it. I've done a ton of 1/8 inch, set up a fence on my table over there and just rip out long pieces of it. Because you know, I don't have an 8 foot long shear, and this thing will just blow a cutting wheel out of the water. The other thing I wanted to talk about is I have this this is a cordless Milwaukee, and this is actually a Hercules blade from Harbor Freight, and it's for aluminum. And this thing has done pretty well. I wouldn't cut a lot with it, and I definitely wouldn't cut anything thick with it. It just doesn't have the power, and the battery goes dead pretty quick. But it is handy. Like sometimes I have to go out on a job site and cut just to make a few cuts. And I don't want to drag out cords and all that kind of thing. I can just pop this thing out and make a couple real quick small cuts. And so it's pretty convenient with that. The only issue there again is the chips. Um, but yeah, I hope you guys liked watching the video. I hope it's helpful for something. And make sure you like and subscribe because I'm going to be coming out with a lot more videos here pretty soon. So I hope everybody has a great day and I'll be back. See you guys next time.